Hello, everyone, beautiful beings. So happy to have you here listening to today's episode. I've got a wonderful guest. I'm really excited to introduce you to Laura DeFranco. And she understands the healer's path. Healers can make their voice heard, share their story, and simultaneously improve their own lives as they improve the lives of others. With over 2 decades of expertise in physical therapy, 6 published books, and a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, Laura has dedicated her life to the betterment of others. Her heart is in tune to the needs of the healers, and her objective is to make their lives easier, more fulfilled, and to create the necessary community to improve their businesses. Laura has developed a powerful process called Brave Healing, which is a formidable combination of body awareness meditation and intuitive writing. Laura can teach healers the secrets to mind-body mastery, overcoming fears, sharing their voice, and the self-care necessary to improve their world. Laura is a sought-after speaker, trainer, and coach. Her book, Brave Healing, A Guide for Your Journey, is available on Amazon.com. Laura, thank you so much for joining me. You are a gift to the world. I can feel it already, and it's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having me. I love connecting like this. It's really exciting today to speak with you and sort of knowing where you are in the world. And I love how the world gets smaller with this big blessing of the internet.
It is. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like you can use all these technologies for light or dark, and we are using it for the light, man.
Yes, we are.
Connecting all over the world and doing our best to make the planet a better place.
For sure.
So yeah, thank you for being here. First off, speaking of making the world a better place, what kind of impact do you want to make over the course of the next 5 years?
You're catching me in the last couple of weeks, and I actually have had an incredible shift in that respect. So what a great question to open today's interview up with, because I've never felt purpose burning so brightly as I have in the last couple of weeks. And I was listening to you read the bio, and I'm like, oh my God, who wrote that bio? So I've done a couple of things since the facts on the bio, including I'm a almost 10-time author now. And so I've done a couple of books since that bio was last written. It cracked me up. But the purpose thing is real, and it is really about sharing the healers of the world, their messages and their important tools. It's time that alternative and holistic goes super mainstream in a much bigger way than it has in the past. Yeah. And I know now that I'm a huge part of that happening, and that is super scary, but I call that purpose-driven fear. And I'm ready, and I'm stepping into it. So 5 years, your question. 5 years. So I'm here to rub elbows with, I don't know if you know Balboa Press, as Hay House's self-publishing company. And I did that as my very first book back in 2012. And that's it. The 5-year goal, probably less than 5 years, is I want to have a place where healers can share those stories in a big way, but still get supported on the healing journey that is sharing your story.
Yes.
That's for warriors.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of just buying a publishing package and then not having anybody understand that healing journey that you just signed up for. And
wow.
So that's what I aim to do in my next 5 years, is to create that place and those kinds of books and those kinds of messages.
I love that. And I do agree that that didn't fully come through in that bio reading, it's about sort of this, there's an embodiment, it sounds like, that you bring forth as one is creating their story and their message.
Yes, that's the word. That is the word for me, and my whole journey is, how can I have that going on, that practice of awareness. And I talk about body awareness quite a bit. So that feels good.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you. How has your work shifted in the last few months? I'm just so curious. I've been asking everybody this because I know it's changed?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I have such a great story to tell you about that. I didn't, before this happened, I was living a time in my life that was really, really difficult. That's another story. But I woke up on March 20th, and this is another funny piece of the bio. Thank you for reading about my book, Brave Healing. But there's a book that has happened since. And I woke up on March 20th, just, I don't know, where's the calendar? A couple months ago. I'm not sure when this will air, but with an idea. And I kind of ran to my laptop that morning and opened it up. And I came into Facebook and I posted a little post in a group of women that I have there who've been through a class that I teach. And I said, ladies, I've been thinking about this for like 4 or 5 years, and I don't know why, but today's the day to see if we could get this going. And I said, who wants to participate in a collaborative book project? This, I want it to be about healing and self-healing and self-care. And you all are amazing healers. Raise your hand who wants to be a part of this. And in 48 hours, I had all 24 yeses for that project. 5 weeks later, we launched the book into the world.
Wow.
Like, does that even happen? Like, it's a small miracle, seriously. So when you ask me, what's been up, I have spent every waking moment on that project. My physical therapy practice went away. That was a hands-on in-person practice. And so that was a huge impact for me. That was paying my mortgage.
Yeah.
But when I woke up with this idea, I thought, okay, universe, all right, I hear you. Let's go. And I was ready and I was listening and I was in action very quickly. And I think the whole thing. So I haven't even told you guys the name of it. So the ultimate guide to self-healing techniques is 25 home practices and tools for peak holistic health and wellness. That's the book. And I gathered up my expert healer friends and had them each write a chapter and teach a tool. So that is our brand new book that hit an international bestseller even before we formally launched it.
Amazing. Congratulations. So it sounds to me like a big thing that shifted, aside from the loss of the physical practice, is that you have been inspired and you have been inspiring people. And I think that's one positive outcome that a lot of people are experiencing, is that we are deeply inspired right now.
Yes. I hope a lot of people are feeling that. Yeah. Rather than, the alternative. There are a lot of things to feel inspired by right now. And it's a matter of how you look at that. Your perspective is everything when there's a crisis, know? Yeah.
What kind of people do you feel like resonate with you the most?
I think that I help people have fun with their fear.
Oh my gosh, that's an awesome line.
That's the next book. It's book 10 and it is written already. It's in the works. But
love that.
It's people who, like me, spent a lot of their life hiding, quiet, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough, and just need somebody to if they need somebody to give them permission to break out of that box and be their full-on wild, hippie, badass, awesome self. Those are the people that resonate with me because I moved through the process and I am that energy. So when they get around me, it's a little bit contagious and they start to move in that direction, and which of course can be scary sometimes, but it's all good.
Yeah. So tell me about like how you market now. What's working for you, particularly organically?
Wow. How do I market now?
Yeah.
Social media has been a huge blessing. And Facebook, I know people love to knock it, but I have met people via that platform that I would have never met without it. And I've made connections and collaborations in much, much bigger ways there. And so, of course, that's one of the ways. But when I think of that now, I actually think of how I can grow other people's businesses as my main business development tool.
Mm.
And so when I can talk you up in your beautiful podcast and get you more listeners and get you more, people wanting to be on your show and spreading your message, that's good vibes. That's probably the best marketing or business development tool you could be involved in. Seriously, the energy pays itself forward. It pays itself back around to you. And believe me, when you feel it, you are going to remember me that I did that for you. So I'm always receiving in a way that I have also given, right? The energy of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So marketing, oh man, people have some massive fear about the words sales and marketing, right?
I mean, especially in our community of like spiritual entrepreneurs. And
exactly.
That's why I started this podcast. It's why I started
fantastic.
It's why I started my Facebook ads agency for spiritual entrepreneurs.
There you go.
I mean, who like it's like you said, Facebook is sort of a dirty word, marketing is a dirty word, sales is a dirty word. And I'm like, how about we reframe all of this?
Yes. Please. And that's it. You exactly have it. That's how we have fun with the fear. So that we learn things about that, about sharing our offerings and ourselves and our messages, and everything becomes, it's not about us anymore. It's about the lives we might change.
Exactly.
So I love that. And I love talking about it at this point. I love opening up those kinds of conversations because, in the past, it wasn't always so easy to have them, but now it's fun to me.
Yeah, I love that. And I love thinking about sales and marketing and business as a service to others,
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. So clearly what you're doing is working. Your reach seems to be growing. I looked, across all of your social media platforms, and it looks like you've got quite a following. How do you stay consistent with your marketing efforts?
Well, you just said a really important word. So I hope everyone just heard consistent, because consistency is the key. In fact, it's even more important than frequency. So like I'll just use a email newsletter as an example. Everyone's like worried about their email, having an email list and all that. But if you can just be consistent about getting, that will serve you in the long run. I forgot the first part of your question now. What did you ask me again?
I mean, just how do you stay consistent with your marketing
how am
efforts?
I consistent? Well, I mean, that seems like a trick question, right? Like, I make sure that I'm giving value, 80 or 90% of the time. And then you might see me also promoting something. But because I'm sharing myself in, I already mentioned Facebook, I'm consistent with my email every single week. I put out one a week. You guys know people who do more than that and less than that, right? It's just what feels good for me. And so that's, I think, the biggest tip too, is be consistent, but be consistent with a strategy that has felt good to you, that doesn't start to feel constricting or tight in any way, right? Something that you can really roll with and that feels like it's doable. There's a point where everybody needs help. And probably one of the best pieces of business advice ever given to me in the past about all this is you typically will need to hire help before you're ready or you can afford it. And so that is this big block that entrepreneurs come up against, is like, oh, I so need the help, but I can't afford it yet. I can't make that next leap, to delegating to a virtual assistant or whatever we need to kind of make the next move. But that was a really good piece of advice. I followed it, and everything ended up moving to that next level because I finally had time to write. I had time to create again. I had time, right? So
girl, I'm with you. That was a huge learning curve for me, is delegation. That was like my biggest learning curve all of last year, but I
so
think
hard.
I'm nailing it now. I have the best team ever.
Yes. Doesn't that feel so good?
It's amazing. And it's an honor. How do you, so speaking of delegation, how do you stay authentic and how do you keep your message authentic as you bring in help and delegate that type of work?
You know what that is, Brave Healer Productions, is, I mean, that authenticity. In fact, I often find that what I'm trying to help people with every day is that. And all it really is just, what if you could be yourself in your work and your day? People try to separate themselves. They try to be this persona on a podcast, and then they go home and they're this other person or whatever, right? Like I like to be me here, and then I'm going to go upstairs with my 17-year-old daughter later, and we're going to cook dinner together, and I'm still going to drop an F-bomb because, like, that's who I am. Like, you know? So
yeah, feel free to drop the F-bombs here. And I drop them in front of my 5-year-old child myself. So fortunately,
yeah, 17, you know, is
a little
fine.
different.
Yeah.
It's a little different with the 5-year-old, but
yeah.
I try not to.
But it's just really, that's what it is just, you know, why try to be anyone different anywhere else?
Yeah.
And that authenticity is what is part of what I do, and really modeling it. So that's the main way that I model that.
Absolutely. So how do you stay in alignment with your people, like your customers, your clients? How do you make the things that you're offering resonate with them? Or not make it resonate, but, you know, ensure that what you're offering and creating is.
How do you stay in alignment? You know, so that's, I heard that first, and really, so I've had this question asked of me several times now that I know sometimes I might look like an alien, but the question is always like, how do you have so much energy? And when the first person asked me that, I took a pause and I said, well, about 4 years ago, I started prioritizing my own joy. And when I started doing that, I mean, I do have an extraordinary amount of alien type of energy. And I've been asked the question several times now since that first person asked.
I prefer to call them interdimensional beings.
There we go.
You might be an interdimensional being.
It's something, you know. But of course they feel the energy and they want some of it, right? Because a lot of people are walking around like zombies, tired, exhausted, sick even, or living kind of a mediocre life. You know, they have dreams, but they're not really going for them, or they're not prioritizing. So when you say, how do you align? That's how I align. Like, it really needs to fill me up, or else I can't prioritize that task in my day. If it's part of my mission, it aligns. I feel it right away. I've just gotten really good at feeling that.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I try to spread it to the team too, right? Like, I want them to have fun with me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love that. No, that's totally like part of my philosophy of running an agency is like, if the team is joyful, then the clients are going to feel that. The quality of work is better. Like everything comes into alignment if you're joyful and doing your best to spread that joy. I love that.
Yeah, it's been key. I was, you know, when I stopped myself, because when I catch myself going into the past story, it's like, I don't even want to waste my time anymore.
Yeah.
So like, I thought, okay, well, I'll tell her the story. No, I won't tell her the story. Like, let's just keep it at, how do you prioritize your joy, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we could both go into lots of stories about times when we did not prioritize our joy. And
exactly.
Those days are dead.
They are.
What kinds of rituals and routines help you show up in the world aligned? I mean, that might bring in some joy. How do you embody that in your daily world?
Wow. So, you know, self-care is it's such a hot topic, and it's like not a luxury, it's a necessity, right? So if you want to give from an overflow, you better become a badass at self-care, and you have to become unapologetic about it. So the ways that I do that are to schedule my time in blocks where I can, you know, be that alien in terms of productivity. But then also when I'm off, I am off. Like I have a complete other block of time where I can go for a walk in the woods. That's my favorite. That's number one on my list. I write poetry. I'm a spoken word poet as well. And for me to dive into my notebook with my pen, sitting outside underneath the trees and just giving myself that time to allow those words to come through, that, I can feel the tingles even just talking to you about that. So I get to fill myself up with that, on a regular basis. There's many other ways, right? From the exercise you do every day to the things you eat. And I try to be conscious of all of the pieces that feel that way and put as many of those into my day every single day as possible. I always have to have a little bit every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you must have a favorite down there too. Like, I so want you to tell me about the jungle.
I mean,
I know. I was hoping you would do that for me. Like, I meet people who live in these places. Yes. And I just want to sort of live vicariously. That must be a whole nother level of energy in the leaves.
Oh my gosh. I super feel grateful to be here, so connected, walking around barefoot in the earth and being surrounded by green and all this fresh oxygen from all of this fauna and sea breeze. Even if we can't go to the beaches right now, I still getting that good juju.
Yes.
So in the mountains, there's this tree right here that's just epic that it seems like it's been there for hundreds of years. So I mean, you can access nature almost anywhere unless you're cooped up in Queens in an apartment, which one of my team members is, and my heart goes out to her. But anytime that we can access nature, I think, walking barefoot on the dirt is real good for us right now.
Yes. Earthing.
Yeah. That's where we can draw our strength. So that, I love that number one is taking a walk in the,
We have a beautiful path in Maryland here. It's the Cabin John Trail, and I'm lucky enough to live just half a mile from it. So my walk is just, through the neighborhood to the trailhead, and then I can go in either direction. And the other morning I went early, which I'm an early bird. I love to be up at that time. And I had such a treat. I came upon 5 deer who didn't really seem bothered by me, which was interesting. Sometimes it's a little scary how tame they are, but typically they really do run away pretty fast when they're in the neighborhood streets. But they were there in the woods, hanging out, eating their leaves and doing their thing. So there was nothing really except for me walking to bother them, but they stayed put. And so I got it up close and personal. It was such those moments to me are all the miracles. If you just look around you, even at your neighbor's flower bed, there's a bunch of miracles to see right there, right?
Yes, and more yes. As much as we can find those little miracles throughout our day, I think that we're doing our part in raising the vibration of this planet. So love that. What's your next level, and how are you planning to reach and impact more people?
Well, I kind of gave that up right at the top of the show with you today. And, next level would be to expand the team so that I have more capacity for bringing those messages through. I love what's the next biggest piece of your vision question. And then I always find myself, I don't know if you've read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talks about the upper limit problem, and so you've come up against this thing and here you are and you've had a major accomplishment. And so, okay, let's think bigger now, let's go ahead and move to that even bigger vision. So that question is making me think about that. I wonder if you struggle with this too. There are programs that I've run where they're very live and very interactive and very much about the healing process. And those programs are small groups of people. And so in the business world, everybody wants to know, how are you going to scale that?
Right. Yeah.
How are you going to make, right? And I mean, honestly, just even this week, I kind of came to some big clarity about one of those programs is a hard no for me. It won't be scaled. It's going to stay what it is. And if I have to have a waiting list, fine. You know what I mean? But this other thing with the books, I think that's where I get to dream bigger, go up to the next level of, you know, you've got 5 independent contractors on your team right now. Well, what if you had 10? Mm-hmm. What if you had a partner in this publishing company? Right? So I love the questions. I love the what else is possible questions. Mm-hmm. So that's how I'm going to keep going to the next level. I'm going to keep staring at those questions and allowing myself to dream in them versus listening to the little voice that likes to say, oh, I don't know about that. You know, that might not be possible, that negativity stuff.
You know what I find too, I completely agree. And I also find that like in my morning meditation or something, asking the question of how can I be of most service to the planet, or how can I be of most service to humanity? And that, if you just ask that question every day, that's going to take you to the next level. Because if I don't know, God, source, Mother Earth, whatever the hell you want to call it, hears you asking that question, it's like, oh, okay, let's get you going.
I always think of all the people down on the earth, and when the person asks that question, it's like a big firework pops up, and then the universe is looking down, and they're going, "Oh, there we go.
There's one. Let's prop that one up."
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, me too, man. Stay in service, and you will reap the rewards, especially if you're not doing it for the rewards.
Yes. I know, it's interesting how you have to let go of the reward to get the reward. Mm-hmm. And I know.
It's like the basic tenet of law of attraction, but it's so hard to understand it and embody it.
And you think you understand it, and then you don't really, and until, I don't know. We could talk all day about that one topic, couldn't we?
That would be fun. I wonder if we'd lose our listeners. I don't know. Maybe we should make a group call.
We were just honestly talking about that this morning in a group of people on Facebook. And the question was, the question that I liked is, you know, how are you living your dream? But for me, it was like, when you ask that question, then people think about where they are and where they want to be, and they feel themselves in the gap of not there yet. And I like to ask it like, well, how are you living it right this moment? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's being with you on this beautiful podcast, and like, whoa, what an honor to get my message out, right? And okay, well, maybe I don't have the 10-person team yet, or the place of that big vision yet, but I'm living it right this moment. Mm-hmm. Right? So I want people to feel into how they're doing it right now, because you are, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of finding the miracles all around you all the time. It's all that same thing. I know whenever I start to freak out about what's happening on the planet, I look around and I'm like, I'm doing good. Like,
yes.
I mean, I know that's coming from a very privileged place, but I'm not going to let that hold me back from seeing the miracles in my life.
Correct.
And so I look around and I'm like, okay, so I'm doing a good job of creating my own reality, and my job is to help others do the same thing.
Yes.
And
how do we, my word forever has been generosity. And so when I stay in that place that you're talking about, then I get to be more generous. And then that's a beautiful cycle of energy that keeps going, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
How can people find you? What's the best way?
Come on over to bravehealer.com, you guys. That's the easiest way. You can contact me through the page if you just want to say hey, if you want to, set up a chat about anything you see there. I would love to connect.
Awesome. bravehealer.com. It'll be in the show notes. And then here's my final question. how do you stay focused and aligned, especially now during these wild times, so you're not spreading yourself too thin and missing out on what matters most, which is your spirituality, self-care, and personal growth?
Oh my gosh, what matters most? If that is not in everybody's faces harder than it ever has been right now, I don't know when it will be. So lockdown was about what matters most. So I woke up every morning to my daughter's face. That's what matters most. And so I think that the challenge will be, once everybody is free to cavort again, we will have to remember what matters most and not lose it in that crazy busyness that we all think is the grind that we're supposed to be doing, and to surrender to having those walks in the woods and all of the time that you do need to fill back up. I don't know if I'm making sense with this answer, but it's like a big answer. And it is, that whole thing about what matters is very, very up right now. You know, what matters to you right this moment. And I'm lucky. I've had people here in my house. I know many, many people who have had to go through this alone, you know, and they're in their homes. And so asking that question might be harder. But anyway, you probably wanted a shorter answer than that, but it's making me think about it. So stopping and pausing and being with the person that's in front of you, or on the phone or on a Zoom, pausing and just basking in the energy and love that is that person in front of you. That's how I want to continue.
I love it. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful conversation, and I hope to stay in touch.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me and for holding a space for these kinds of conversations. Truly appreciate it.
Well, have a beautiful, beautiful day, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye.